The Blue Jays, I mean, they're on the struggle bus. They might be driving the struggle bus at this point. Bottom of the barrel in the East, and they have not had a postseason win since 2016. Did you realize that?
It makes a lot of sense, actually. Because I
Yeah,
remember them saying stuff like that when the Mariners were playing them a couple years ago.
I didn't expect it to have been that long. It doesn't feel like they're in that big a drought, but I guess they are. So, I also did some research, and a mind-blowing, like 65% of their roster, their active roster, is going to be up for free agency within the next like 2 years.
Makes sense because they kind of pulled everybody together at the same time.
They did. Two of the names on that list are Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr., and they are also heavily rumored trade targets or trade pieces, depending on which side of the table you're sitting on, which fountain pen you're holding, I suppose. So Mark Feinsand of MLB.com spoke with an unnamed Blue Jays executive who said they've already talked to teams, quote, but the asking prices are ridiculous, also quotes. That makes a lot of sense given that it's this early in the season that nobody really knows what's going to happen. But Brad, I did want to spin the what if game wheel a little bit and see, what do you think? First of all, do you think that they will get traded this season or not?
Well, I mean, you look at them right there now. Right now, they're 23 and 26. Like you said, sitting at the bottom of the barrel. They're 10 and a half back in the division, but they're only 3 back in the wild card. That's a good weekend away from the wild card, right?
Yeah.
So I think it depends on where they're at come July. Give them another month or so, and I think that then that's when we're going to find out what they're going to do with this team. Right now, it's still like I know, like, how long can you say it's early, right?
It's starting to get too late to say early.
Right. Yes, it's starting to get too late for it to still be early, but nonetheless, it is still pretty early because we've seen teams at about this point have about this record, go on a tear, make the playoffs. So they're not out of the race yet. Certainly 3 games back in the wild card, they're not out by any stretch of the imagination. They wouldn't be out at the beginning of September 3 games back. We'd be like, man, those Blue Jays.
Correct.
Right? But the difference is the way they've been playing and the fact that they're sitting under 500. I understand that. So I think we give them another month. I think they're going to have to start looking at stuff at the beginning of July. And then they're going to probably drag it out until the trade deadline.
Oh, they'll drag it. Is this some? Yeah, well, you just answered my question. So, okay, I did a little bit of digging. Bo Bichette has played in 45 games. He has 15 runs, 11 RBIs, 40 hits, 11 walks, 3 homers. Right now he's batting 233, yikes, 289, 349, and his fielding percentage is a solid 978. So, offensively in a slump, I think it's safe to say. Defensively seems to still be holding water. No big deal. Vlad, 48 games played, 21 runs, 22 RBIs, 51 hits, 27 walks. That's the surprising one. And he's batting 279, 374, and 483. Fielding percentage also at a 989. Not too shabby for Vlad.
Mm-hmm.
He's really pulled it together as of late. I thought that he was driving the struggle bus, but the numbers
he's been better. But it is interesting though because it's like what you said. I'm sure that the asking price has been ridiculous. They think very highly of him, and they're not going to let him go for peanuts. But
okay, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that it almost feels like the longer you hold on to a guy, the less you can get for him because teams are like, what, you're just going to let him walk for nothing?
Yep. Yeah.
Take it or leave it, fellas.
Well, and on top of that, if you were going to go for Bichette or Vlad, I know it's a situational thing by team, But let's flip it around. If you were the Blue Jays, who would you rather lose?
It depends on the day, honestly. I would probably almost rather lose Vlad because you can find a power hitting first baseman. But a freak athlete playing middle infield and hitting the way Bo Bichette doesn't come along all the time.
That is a really interesting take. I don't disagree with you. I just didn't see you coming up with that answer. Or falling on that side of the line, I guess, is more accurate. So, in a quote with Rob Longley of Toronto Sun, Kevin Gosman said, "The reality is, if we don't play well, this team will not be together for much longer." And GM Ross Atkins also said there's a massive sense of urgency sort of to get things turned around. So, super duh. I don't think that comes as any surprise.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because they're in it right now, but a good weekend or a bad weekend can change things for them. So,
well, and a good or a bad weekend across the table in the division or across the league, it's so dependent.